Thank you so much for joining this lesson. We'll be discussing Mathematics Paper 1, the section 1 of a Colored Trial Examination 2025 July. So this is a very good paper which has been done by a group of schools, the Kenya High, Alliance High, Lenana School, and Alliance Girls. So we're going to pass through the paper in details. Some of the questions are well thought out, and it's my hope that you guys shall learn something in the interaction. So thank you so much for turning up. Remember to subscribe and to share this link with friends. Find the value of y given that half plus a sixth of 13/18 minus 5/9 divided by y out of 1 and a sixth minus 5/12 equals to 7/9. So we'll first start by solving the left-hand side, whereby I will start with the numerator on the left-hand side. The numerator on the left-hand side, whereby I'm having half, then I add 1/6 into, first I deal with what is inside the brackets, 13/18 minus 5 out of 9. This gives us 1/6. Then everything at that point, divide by y. So we can deal with the off first. Half plus, this becomes 1/36. Then this, I have to divide it by the value of y. This is half plus, when I divide by y, it's like multiplying by 1/y. So it will be 1/36, the value of y. So that is the simplest form of the numerator. What about the denominator at the same point? The denominator shall be 1 and 1/6 as an improper fraction shall be 7/6 and minus 5/12. And this shall give us what? 7/6 minus 5 out of 12. This gives us 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 like that. So from the denominator, we are having 3/4. That means we can now combine numerator and denominator. I hope that you all can see our number for consultations. It's already on the board, so you can save it, reach out through WhatsApp, so that we may keep communicating. So half plus 1/36y now is being divided by 3/4. The expression can also be changed now. Because we are dividing by 3/4, then it can be half plus 1/36y. Now we multiply by 4 out of 3. And these brackets can be opened. When the brackets are opened, they will give us half times 4/3. This gives us a 2/3 plus 1/36 multiplied by 4/3, giving us 1 out of 27, the value of y. And this is now equal to the right-hand side. We have 7 out of 9. At this point, we can remain with 1/27, the value of y, equals to 7/9 minus 2/3. And this gives us 1 out of 9. Yeah, 1 out of 9. So with this now, we can cross multiply and have 27y equals to 9. That's after multiplying by 1. So how do you remain with the value of y? 9 out of 27. So this is equal to 1 out of 3. Yeah, 1 out of 3. So 1 out of 3 is the absolute value of y. That's a very unique setting, very unique. in number 1. Thought-provoking, and learners and students should raise to those levels whereby you think, the size of 2 exterior angles in number 2 of an irregular polygon each measures 80. All the other remaining interior angles each measure 140 degrees. Determine the number of sides of the polygon. So you can see some change of language somewhere from exterior angles to interior angles. One thing you're supposed to know is that sum of exterior angles usually give 360. Then every interior plus corresponding exterior usually gives 180. So with this knowledge now, then we'll be able to say all the exteriors when added up, and you see there are first 2 measuring 80. So 80 times 2 plus the others, we are given interior angles measuring 140, which means for every interior measuring 140, there are corresponding exteriors measuring 40. So if the interiors are measuring 140, because of the first rule here that we've just mentioned, then it means the corresponding exteriors to these interiors of 140 is 40 degrees. So 40 into, how many are they? N minus the first 2 that we've dealt with. We're supposed now to get 360 because all exteriors for whatever polygon it is must give us 360. 160, 40n minus 80 equals to 360. 40n equals to, when we take 360 and we add 80, then we subtract 160, I'm getting 280. Then now to remain with n, I'm supposed to divide by 40 through. This gives me exactly 7 sides. That is when we apply the concept of exterior angles. What about alternatively, when we think about the interiors and we add them, what are we supposed to get? So for every corresponding, or for every exterior, there is a corresponding interior. So for the first 2 exterior angles, each measuring 80 degrees, there is a corresponding interior of 100. So the first 2 interiors, each measures 100, and there are 2 of them. Just because of their interiors that measure 80, then there is a corresponding interior measuring 100. So that the interior and the exterior give us 180. Then plus the other interior angles, each is 140. So when we multiply each by the number, they are remaining n minus 2. The total is n angles. Remember, the number of sides is equal to number of angles when we are dealing with polygons. So now this will give us the total sum, and the total sum, whether a polygon is regular or irregular, should also be the sum according to the formula that way. So we use this formula for regular and irregular. So whether we add manually, as we can see on the left-hand side, we should get the same as when we use the formula as shown on the right-hand side. So this is 200 plus 140 n minus z280 equals to 180 n minus 360. Grouping of terms, this shall be 40n, 180 minus 140. Then here we shall have 280 when you group the terms. The value of n shall automatically be 7. So alternatively, we can still get 7 using this particular approach. 2 methods giving us the same solution. As we get to number 3, allow me bring to your attention some of our programs that we are doing. we have the mentorship program for all the candidates, KJSEA and KCSE, through Google Meet. So you can join us. You can inquire more about our programs using the number which is already on the wall. Reach out for consultations about our programs. We are helping even private candidates. So please join us for the one-tap full introduction. We have a very serious interaction via Google Meet where learners can ask questions, answer questions, seek clarity because it's one-on-one. Google Meeting is just like a normal classroom. So you are most welcome. Then look, we have the one-term ahead program whereby we are starting it from the 10th of November to 12th December 2025. We'll be covering term 1 work of 2026. Therefore, as learners in junior school and senior school go to the next level of academic life, please learn there with a lot of energy because we will equip you over the holiday. Still happening via Google Meet. So reach out through our number, which is already attached, for more consultations. Number 3, 2x minus 1 out of 3 is the reciprocal of 2 divided by 3x plus 2. Determine the value of x. So this one, let me start just as it is. 2x minus 1 out of 3 equals to the reciprocal of, it is equal to the reciprocal of. So 1 over whatever is given. So this shall be 2x minus 1 out of 3 equals to, when we take reciprocal, 3x plus 2 goes up, 2 comes down. That is the meaning of reciprocal. Change of position between the numerator and the denominator. We call it reciprocating. So we can cross multiply 2 by everything on this side, then 3 with everything on this other side. This is 4x minus 2 equals to 9x plus 6. Grouping of terms shall give us a 5x. And here we will have negative 8. So how do you remain with x? Negative 8 over 5. But now we can make it simpler. Negative 1 and 3 over 5. And 3 over 5. Yeah, 3 out of 5. That way. So that's how we handle such a case. Number 4, which is a very good question. Very good question. We are told to solve for x. Solving for x in the equation 32 power x minus 3 multiplied by 8 power x plus 4 divided by 5 power 0 equals to 64 divided by 2x. Okay, most of what you can see here are composite numbers. So the first step that we're supposed to engage is to express every composite number to the least base possible. And we can choose that base to be base 2. So when we choose it as base 2, then we will have 3, this be 2 instead of 32, 5, x minus 2, multiplied by 2, power 3, x plus 4, divided by, you will allow me introduce 2 power 0 here, then I tell you how. Then this is a 2 power 6, divided by 2 power x. It's good for you to know that, according to the laws of indices, anything power 0 equals to 1. So if anything power 0 equals to 1, then there is no problem if we change 5 power 0 to 2 power 0 for convenience in this expression, because you can agree with me, if 5 power 0 equals to 1, then 2 power 0 is also equal to 1. Therefore, the value of this equation is not interfered with. That's very high intelligence. I've not applied a simple rule there. Now, let's proceed and say, we all know that if the base is the same, let's say a power m multiplied by a power n, this one should be solved by taking a and the powers are added. We just take the common base and we add the powers. And when it is division, we subtract the powers. Yeah, when it is division, we subtract the powers. Therefore, we can take 2 from the right-hand side, from the left, sorry, 2, then the powers are added for the first and second terms. We add the powers such that 5x, let me take it slow, 5x minus 15, then we add 3x plus 12. Then we subtract 0. Look at that. We are subtracting 0 because of the division. Equals to common base 2. Then the powers are now subtracted. 6 minus x. Because of the division, we subtract powers when the bases are the same. So at this point now, we can equate the powers since the base is the same. So 5x and 3x gives us 8x. Negative 15 plus 12 gives us negative 3 equals to 6 minus x. We can group terms. Negative x. Okay, 6 positive. That is 6. Then plus. We should look at that very carefully. This is going to be positive 9. You see that? Then on the other side, we add 9x. So that the value of x becomes absolutely 1. So the value of x is 1. Look at that application of laws of indices. A very serious setting for this matter. Proceeding to number 5, whereby we are told to expand, then simplify. X power 3 minus 2y squared minus 2y plus x power 3 squared. So we are squaring and we are going to use the quadratic identities, whereby if we are squaring this part, then we need x power 3 squared, making it x power 6. Then minus, because of the negative sign, x power 3 times 2y times 2, making it 4 x power 3 and y. Then plus negative 2y squared, making it 4y squared. Then minus. From the other side, we need to talk about 4y squared plus 4x power 3 y plus x power 6. Yeah, x power 6. I hope you can see that. X power 6 after squaring. So this shall be x power 6 minus 4x power 3y plus 4y power 2 minus 4y. Just a minute. 4y squared minus 4x power 3y minus x power 6. Now we can group terms. We can now group terms. Look at this. This one and this one cancel. X power 6 minus x power 6. Then again, we can talk of this is positive 4y and this is negative 4y squared. They also cancel. Then we remain with negative 8 x power 3 y. So that will be the simplest format of that particular question. Number 6. Let's check number 6. From commercial arithmetic. A sales representative made a loss of 12.5% by selling an item at 21,700 Kenya shillings. determine the price the sales representative should have made, should have sold the item in order to make a profit of 15% after a discount of 5%. After a discount of 5%. So let's flow through the question. After selling this, there was a loss of 12.5, meaning that when we subtract 12.5 here, we are getting 87.5, and that's a percentage. This is equal to what about 100%? The match this item had been bought. So the cost price was 21,700 times 100 out of 87.5. So how much did they pay to acquire the item? 21,700 by 100 out of 87.5. This is 24,800. Now, this is the amount the particular salesperson acquired the item with. So that after selling at 12.5% loss, he acquired 21,700. So now we ask ourselves, this is how they bought. Now, they are supposed to have a certain marked price, such that they'll be able to get 15% profit. So we'll say 100% is 24,800. What about 115, which is a percentage inclusive of the intended profit percent? What about this? So 24,800 times 115 out of 100. This gives us the amount with profit. This is going to be 28,520. Yeah, 28,520. This amount now includes the profit that they are targeting, 15%. Now, it is now being concluded that this profit of 15% has been made when a discount of 5 has been applied. So what was the marked price? What was the marked price? Because this is now together with a discount of 5%. So we will say 95% now equals to 28,520. What about 100 now without a discount? If the customer did not enjoy any discount, how much would have been the selling price? How much would have been the selling price? So we can multiply this by 100 out of 95, giving us 30,021. Yeah, 30,021 Kenya shillings. Yeah, 30,021 1032. That is the amount. Yeah. That is it. We check number 7 now, our next question. Wow. Number 7 is talking about a circle which is inscribed in a regular hexagon of side 4.5 centimeters. Calculate the area of the hexagon that lies outside the circle, correct to 2 decimal places. The pi to be used, 3.142. So we're going to say that there is a circle here. There is a circle. Or like that. Then now, an hexagon is drawn such that the circle now lies inside. Such that the circle lies inside. Such that a certain circle lies inside. I want to see whether I'll manage to draw, even if it's not perfectly, just an illustration of what is happening. Not perfectly, but I will manage. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, these are 5. I wanted them to be an hexagon. So I think there is something I've not drawn very well. But anyway, this is what we need. The area lying outside the hexagon. The area outside the hexagon. So now what we need to do, ladies and gentlemen, is to ensure that we divide the area such that we can get the whole hexagon minus the circle. Hexagon minus circle. The hexagon is having 4.5 here. That means even the circle itself, we can get the radius of the circle. Remember, at the center, we have 60. When I try to divide the hexagon into 6 triangles, this way, let me show you. When I try to divide this hexagon into triangles, then one triangle will be like this. One triangle like this. Like that. Then a circle now is passing here. The circle is passing like that. With this now, we can say this is 4.5. This is 4.5. But now we need these areas. The area of the hexagon that lies outside the circle, lying outside the circle. Therefore, we need to talk about, there can be several options. First, we can talk about triangle, whereby this is 60. Triangle minus circle. Yeah. Triangle minus circle. And how do we actualize that? We get area of triangle first. For triangle, we need half times one side times the other side, sine of the angle between these sides. So what will be the area of one triangle? Area of a triangle shall be half multiplied by 4.5 times 4.5, the sine of 60. This gives us 8.769 square centimeters. That is for the triangle. Then the sector of the circle now. The sector of the circle, we'll need to talk about theta, blah, blah. So we need the radius. We can't proceed with area of a circle without radius. So without radius, then we can't do anything. That is a right anchored. Yeah. So we need to get that side. And how do we get it? Remember, after subdividing there, the 60 now becomes 30. So we have 30 and we are having 4.5. So we can use what we call cosine. The cosine of 30 degrees will be equal to adjacent length that we don't know, the height, out of hypotenuse 4.5. So how do you remain with x? 4.5, the cosine of 30. 4.5 cos 30. This gives us 3.897. 3.897. That is now x, which is radius for this particular circle. Radius for the particular circle. So sector shall give us beta over 360 pi r squared. Beta over 360 pi r squared. So 60 over 360 pi r squared. This gives us 7.953 square centimeters. So we have area of the sector and area of triangle. So what about the shaded part, which now means area of triangle, which is outside the circle. So shaded part or outside area, it will be the triangle minus the sector. So what do we get here? I'm talking about 8.769 minus 7.953. This gives us, no, I didn't subtract well. Give me a minute. 0.769 minus 7.953. This gives us 0.816 square centimeters. Now, what I want you to understand is that in this particular hexagon now, there are 6 other shapes just like this. So we just took one in the hexagon because an hexagon can be divided into triangles like this one. Therefore, total unshaded shall be 0.816 times 6 of them. So when we do this by 6, we are getting 4.896. Then we've been told to 2 decimal places. To ensure 2 decimal places, then we talk about 4.90. 4.90 square centimeters. Yeah. 4.90 square centimeters. So that is it. That's how we work it out in number 7. Now proceeding to number 8. The figure below shows a diagram, rotational symmetry 4. Rotational symmetry of order 4. About point O shown. Complete the diagram. If it's order 4, then before we get back again to where we are, we just need 3 other shapes, so that in total they are 4. So we need now to measure an angle here. We need to measure an angle. Remember, we have 360 in total. Therefore, we are supposed to talk about this shape on the other side. Let me show you. Same shape on the other side. This other side. That we can join here. 1. Then we also need to do the same for others. According to the center here, we need to have it like here. Mhm. Then another one. Mhm. Need that one there. Then the last one should be here. Let me do the last one now. Like this. So look at that. We have displayed the shape 4 times. That's what it means by order 4. In case you'd been told order 3, you should have ensured that we have 3 like that one. But now that it is order 4, then you ensure that we have other 3 so that the total is 4. So that's how you're supposed to construct them. Now to number 9 in section 1. Guys, remember to subscribe. Remember to share with friends. Just remember to invite people to this particular platform. The bearing of point A from B is 140, and the bearing of A from C is 216. Given that the length of AB is 8.6 and AC 9.7, calculate in part A the length of BC. Read that again, calculate. The word there is calculate. So you underline the word calculate. When you are told to determine, you are actually free to do it using a scale drawing. But now that it is not determine or find, we have to calculate. Then we brace ourselves and have a sketch which will ensure that we calculate the bearing of point A from B. So we can say this is our B is 140. So 140, just doing a sketch, 140 like that. When you measure 140 like that, remember you've left a 40 here. And for you to have a very good, compass at point A, you're supposed to raise another compass there, parallel to the first one, ensuring that there is an acute angle of 40 at that particular point. So this is our A. Then the bearing of A from C. This is a known C. So while at C, the bearing of A is 226, meaning that after turning for 180, we are adding 46 more. We are adding an angle of 46 there. When you add 46 there, then for you to raise a compass at A, you need a 46 at this point. Therefore, the bearing of C from A is 46. The bearing of C from A is 46. So we measure 46. Yeah, it's a 46 at that point. So that now, with another 46 here, we'll be able to talk about 226 that way. So this is now our point C. That is our point C. Now we get to the question. There are some lengths which have been given. And before we get to those lengths, allow me first connect B and C. Yeah, B and C, well connected like that. So now we are given AB as 8.6. Then here AC 9.7. Then with that now, we can calculate the bearing of B from C. Now, bearing of B from C means we are, first of all, supposed to get the whole of this angle. That is the bearing. B from C. So we need to get the unknown value here first. And applying the cosine rule, the cosine rule will be the most convenient. the most convenient. The cosine rule shall be the most convenient. So whereby we will say, when we get the length BC squared, we can call it length A, small letter A squared. We're supposed to get 8.6 squared plus 9.7 squared minus 2, 8.6 times 9.7, the cosine of the angle at A. Therefore, A squared equals to, we have to compute all this now. 8.6 squared plus 9.7 also squared. That gives me 68.05 minus, okay, the angle at A is also known, sorry. So instead of leaving it like that, it could be our angle of 86 as already displayed. So 2 times 8.6 times 9.7, the cosine of 86. This gives us 11.638. So A squared equals to 168.05 minus 11.638, which is 156.41. Then the value of A shall be the square root now, giving us 12.51 to 2 decimal places. These are centimeters, sorry. These are centimeters. You see now we have worked, actually I had not seen this, sorry. We have worked the length BC, 12.51 centimeters. Now we are supposed to find the bearing of B from C, which is now the angle that I really targeted even initially. So the angle theta first should be found. How do we find angle theta? We can apply the same concept where we shall say 8.6, which is the length, divided by sine of the angle opposite, which is theta, should give us a length like 12 points out of sine of opposite angle 86. So we can now compute 12.51 sine theta after cross multiplication, 8.6 sine 86. So how shall you remain with sine theta? You need to take 8.6, the sine of 86, and you divide by 12.51. This is 0.6858. So how do you get theta? Sine inverse, shift sine of answer. This gives us 43.30 degrees. With this value, now the total bearing shall be, B from C shall be 226, and we are adding more, an angle of 43.30. So when we add 226 to that, we get 269.30. Yeah, 269.30. That's how such a point is worked out. A very good question. Very good question. Interesting application of what we call trigonometry 2, solution of triangles. At number 10, very fast. We are now in number 10. We are moving very fast. Remember to subscribe. Have you invited anyone to these classes? Have you ever told anyone about Shifting Grades Online School? Have you ever talked about how you benefit from a platform like this one? Form the inequalities in number 10 that satisfy the region R. Region R is already indicated here. We have inequalities there. So these inequalities, we can have the lines. This one can be L1, this can be L2. Then we have L3. There are only three. Yeah, only three like that. Then beginning with L1, you know, inequalities are plotted using borderlines. So we first get the equation of the borderlines. For us to get the equation, we need to start with the gradient. What is the gradient of this line? We first establish some of the coordinates where it passes, like -6, 0, and 0, -5. So what coordinate or what gradient is this? Gradient of line 1 shall be -5 minus 0, change in y, out of 0 minus -6, giving us -5/6. Now with this, we need to find the equation. Y will be equal to, remember the general equation, y equals to mx plus c. I don't want us to waste a lot of time in solving this. We need to know that y equals to, the value of m should be the gradient, which we have already found, x, then minus 5, because the value of c should be the y-intercept. So where is the line cutting the vertical axis? At -5, so -5 at that point. We have the first equation. Now, with the first equation, we're supposed to establish the inequality sign pole for this particular line. How do we move about that? We can identify a coordinate which is in the required region. Look at a coordinate like this. This is coordinate -3, 1. So we substitute x with -3, 1 with y. So that we have y as 1, then -5/6. Instead of x, -3, then we subtract 5. So 1 on the left, then on the other side, -5/6 into -3 minus 5. This gives us -2.5. Now we ask ourselves, in the number line, how is 1 and -2.5 related? 1 is greater. And if it is so, then the inequality sign pole to fit in this particular equation shall be y greater than or equal to -5/6 x minus 5. Why are we having or equal to? Or equal to because the line is complete. Now when we proceed to L2, we shall not use or equal to because the line is dotted. Let's get to this line now. We can identify some of the coordinates where it passes. A coordinate like this one. This is coordinate -2, -4. Then another coordinate along the same line. Another coordinate can be this one, -1, -2. We find gradient. -2 minus -4, change in y, out of -1 minus -2, change in x. This is going to be 2 out of +2. So the gradient is 2. The equation shall be y equals to 2 gradient multiplied by x, then plus y-intercept. Where is this line cutting the vertical intercept? At 0. So generally, it's 2x like that. This is equation for line 2. Now we again go back to our equation. We go back to our coordinate, -3, 1. So this will be 1, then 2 into -3. This is 1 and this is -6. 1 is automatically greater than -6. And if it is so, then we will have y greater than 2x. Not or equal to, strictly greater. So this is for L2. This was for L1. Now we can check L3, ladies and gentlemen. We check L3. L3 is there. Where is the line passing? The line is passing through y equals to 3. So the line is y equals to 3. If y equals to 3, we check the coordinates on the required side. Y equals to 1. So is 1 and 3. How is 1 and 3 related? 1 is less. Therefore, y less than 3. Do we need it complete? No, it's also dotted. So if it's dotted, then we strictly remain to less than, strictly less than. So those are the inequalities properly stipulated. Properly stipulated. Number 11, another simple question here. Points A, -1, 1, and B, -3, 2, are mapped onto A prime, 5, 5, B prime, -1, 8 by an enlargement. Find the scale factor of the enlargement and the center of the enlargement. We can begin by doing this. Whenever corresponding lengths are transformed by an enlargement, there is usually a ratio that we call the linear scale factor of the particular enlargement. So, in other words, we say this, in case there is this, let's say a triangle with A, B, C, then it's enlarged to A prime, B prime, C prime. Then corresponding lengths like B prime, C prime divided by BC should give us the scale factor of this particular enlargement. So with that, then we are supposed to find the length of the vector AB. Vector AB. How do we find it? We need -3, 2, minus -1, 1. This should give us 4, 1. So if we want the magnitude of vector AB, then we can take 4 squared. Let me check again. -3 minus a -1. You know, that should become -3. Sorry for that. -3 minus -1. That becomes 2. That becomes 2. And is it positive? No, -2. Sorry for that. Yeah. -3 plus 1. It's a -2. So we need -2 squared plus 1. -2 squared plus 1. The square root. So we need the square root of 5. That is the magnitude of vector AB. What about vector A prime, B prime? What about this vector? We need B prime -1, 8 minus A prime 5, 5. This is going to be -6, and this is going to be +3. 8 minus 5 is 3. The other one is a -6. With this now, we can get the magnitude of vector A prime, B prime. -6 should be squared, plus 3 also squared. Then we take square root. 36 plus 9. 36 plus 9. Is that right? This gives us 45. Square root of 45. So we have the magnitude of the two vectors. How would we get the ratio? We need the length of the image divided by the length of the object. So the square root of 45 over 5, the square root of 9, this gives us exactly 3. So the scale factor equals to 3. Yeah, the scale factor equals to 3. We are done with the scale factor. What about the center? What about the center? Okay, about the center, there's something we are supposed to know here. You know, we can approach using very many ways. Can approach in very many ways. For example, from A to a known center, then to A prime. You know, there is a straight line there. No wonder we call it linear scale factor of enlargement. Then from B to B prime, There is also another straight line, but joining us to the center. Another straight line, but linking us to the center. Still linking us to the center of the enlargement. That means we can first of all find the equation AA prime and also the equation BB prime. Yeah. Then we find where the two meet. There can be very many, we can still apply vectors. We can still apply vectors, but let me change the tactic because we have already applied vectors there. Let me change the tactic a little bit. Talk about AA prime. So the gradient of A prime shall be, AA prime shall be 5 minus 1 out of 5 minus -1. This is 4 over 6, which is 2/3. So 2/3 equals to change in y. So y minus 1, change in x minus -1, making it a positive. So this is 3y minus 3 equals to 2x plus 2. 3y equals to 2x plus 5. We are done with the first equation. We also need gradient for b prime. How do we get gradient for b prime? For us to get this gradient, we need change in y, 8 minus 2, change in x, -1 minus a -3. This is going to be 6 out of 2, giving us a gradient of 3, right? Gradient of 3. Yeah, I think that is the case. 8 minus 2, 6. -1 minus a -3, positive 2. So 3. How do we express this gradient? 3 equals to change in y. Y minus 2 out of change in x minus a -3, which makes it a plus. So y minus 2 equals to 3x plus 9. Y equals to 3x plus 11. We have equation for the first line and equation for the second one is found. Now we just need to know where are these two meeting. Remember in equation 2, y has already been expressed. So we can rewrite equation 1, 3, and instead of y, 3x plus 11, solving simultaneously using the substitution method, 2x plus 5. This is 9x, this is 33, this is 2x, this is 5. So we can have now 7x equals to -28. So that the value of x becomes -4. If value of x is -4, then y shall be 3x according to this. 3x, so 3 into -4 plus 11, giving us 3 into -4 plus 11. This gives us -1. So we can talk about now the center of this particular enlargement as coordinate -4, -1. Yeah. -4, -1. That way. Actually, the center is likely to be plus or -3. The center can be plus or -3. So that is it. That is it. Let's look at number 12. We are winding up the section 1. Remember that. At number 12, ladies and gentlemen, we are taught to solve for theta in the sine of 2 theta minus 30 minus the cosine of 2/3 of theta equals to 0. Remember, this can be re-expressed. 2 theta minus 30 equals to the cosine 2/3 of theta. Yeah, we can equate like that. It's good for you to remember this. Very good for you to remember. Very good for you to remember that in such cases, the only trigonometric identity that should come to our mind when we have sine and cosine, and they are not be squared, none of them is squared, then we should know that the sine of theta equals to cosine of alpha, if and only if alpha and beta are complementary. In other words, they are added up to give us 90 degrees. So 2x and 2 theta, sorry, let me not change the unknown. 2 theta minus 30. When we add 2/3 of theta, should get 90. If that is so, then 2 and 2/3 of theta should give us 120. Yeah? So we can divide through to get the value of theta. We divide through by 2 and 2/3, which is 8/3. So we multiply both sides by 2/8. This will give us exactly 45. That is the value of theta. Number 13. A translation T maps Q onto Q prime, as you can see. Determine the translation vector. Object plus translation vector should give us image. Therefore, -4, 1 plus unknown translation vector should give us 3, 2. So x, according to the x components, shall be equal to 7, because to remain with x, we have to add 4 to the right. And y equals 2. To remain with y, we subtract 1, we get 1. So the translation vector equals to 7, 1. That is the translation vector. Looking at part B, a point R prime is the image of R under T, the same translation vector. Determine the coordinates of R. So the coordinates of R, when we add the translation vector 7, 1, we're supposed to get R transformed. Therefore, to remain with A, we subtract 7 from the other side. To remain with B, we subtract 1. This means that the coordinates of R then are -6, 0. Yeah? -6, 0. That way. A very good statement of the coordinates. Are we now in number 14? Yeah. We're doing it very fast. Number 14. A cylindrical wooden solid of radius 6 centimeters in length, 20 floats lengthwise in water, submerging 3/4 of its diameter. Calculate the volume of the solid not submerged, correct to 4 significant figures. Not submerged. Mark the word not submerged. Mark the word not submerged. Therefore, we are having a like this. Then when we say lengthwise, lengthwise, it means this way, not cross-sectionally, lengthwise. So it has entered into water such that, lengthwise, hey, sorry, this is not lengthwise actually, that is cross-sectionally. Lengthwise means this, sorry for that, yeah, just what I had drawn initially. Such that 3/4 of diameter, so across here, such a thing. The whole of that is inside the water. The whole of that is inside water. Then we are talking of 3/4 of diameter, meaning that from this point up to this, what length is there? We can find it. We can find that length by saying that the length shall be, remember diameter equals to 12. So 3/4 of this is 9 centimeters. So this is 9 centimeters already submerged. And we have 3 here, 3 remaining like that. 3 remains like that. That is what we are having. That is what we are having. Then now we are supposed to talk about area of cross-section now. Area of cross-section. What amount of this area has not been submerged? What amount of this area has not been submerged? So let me deal with the circle now. Let me deal with the circle. The circular part, whereby what we know from this is that this part is inside the water. Then how is the part? The part is such that this is 9 already inside the water. So we need this other part, which is not inside the water. Which is not inside the water. Then we can talk about such a sector now. Let's talk about such a sector. Yeah. Let's talk about such a sector. Can address it as a sector, actually. We can address it as a sector of a circle. Like that. Yeah. That is right angled. Remember, with the right angle at that point, remember that this is still radius of 6. And this is still radius of 6 because this is center. Then what remains here is 3. What remains there is 3. So we can get the angle at the center now. We can get the angle at the center. So how do we get this angle at the center? The angle at this point, the cosine of the angle there will be given by adjacent out of 6, meaning that beta shall be cos inverse of 3/6, which is just half. Shift cosine of half. This gives us exactly 60. So the angle there is 60 degrees like that, meaning that the whole angle is going to be 120. The whole angle at the center now, because you've just gotten one of the acutes. So with that, then we'll be able to talk about sector minus triangle to get the part which is not submerged. Actually, the part which is not submerged, the part unsubmerged is a segment, a minor segment for that case. So how do we get area of a minor segment? We need area of sector, whereby it's 120 over 360 pi r squared. Then we are supposed to subtract triangle. And for the triangle to be subtracted, we need half 6 times 6, the sine of 120. Let's compute that now. 120 over 360 pi r squared. This gives us 37.704. Minus half times 36. The sine of 120. This gives us 15.59. So it could be 588. We just increase the accuracy. Yeah, 588, giving us what? 37.704 minus 15.588. This gives us 22.124. That is now area of the circle part, which is not submerged, 22.124. Yeah, that way. So we need to multiply this one by now the length now, so that we get the volume of the whole part. So volume will be unsubmerged one. The unsubmerged cross-section. The unsubmerged cross-section times the length. How long is it? 20. Times this by 20. You know, I'm getting 442. Point should be 4SF. So 0.5. cubic centimeters. Yeah, for a set like that. That one is another technical part of this, of the whole setting actually. Very technical. Very, very technical question. Very technical, yeah, that way. At number 15, let's look at it. In a class comprising of 49, the ratio of boys to girls is 5:2. How many girls are required to join the class so that the ratio of boys to girls in that class is changed to 7 out of assuming that we are adding girls without tampering with the number of boys. So how many boys do we have? The boys that we have is supposed to be boys to girls. So 5 out of total proportions times 49, which is 35. Boys are 35. Then we want the ratio of boys to girls. When we divide the number of boys with a known number of girls, we are supposed to get a ratio of 7/4. So what is x? 7x equals to 35/4. What about x? The unknown number that will give us the ratio that we need is going to be by 7/5. Is that 20? Checking something here. Yeah, 20. 20. So meaning that the new number of girls should be 20. What about the original number of girls? What was it? What was the original number of girls? Original number of girls is 2 out of 7/49, giving us 14 girls. So originally, we add 14 girls. So new number of girls, or rather the girls added for the ratio to be this one, then should be 20 minus 14, giving us 6 new girls. So 6 girls are required to join this class for the ratio to adjust. Yeah. For the ratio to adjust like that. Looking at number 16, which is now the last part in section 1. In this question, use a ruler and a pair of compasses only. Construct a triangle ABC where AB 6.4, then the angle at A is 30, then the length BC 5.5. Drop a perpendicular from C to AB at N, then measure the N. Let's look at that. We draw a very straight line and we call it AB. After measuring what? We stand at A using an arc of 6.4 to get point B. This is 6.4 centimeters like that. Yeah, 6.4 centimeters that way. Then the angle at A is supposed to be 30. The angle at A should be 30. Therefore, you stand at A and you construct 60 first. You make an arc, and standing here, you cut the arc. That will be 60 degrees automatically. You'll have constructed 60. So with the 60 like that, we are supposed now to bisect it. So we stand again at A. Okay, we stand at these arcs now. We stand at these points. Let me show you the points. We stand at this point. We make an arc. Stand at the other point here. We cut the first arc. That will be a bisection of 60, and automatically it will give us 30 degrees. Automatically, it will give us 30 degrees. Then after that now, we should be able to check something else here and say that the length from B to where C is supposed to be 5.5. So with a radius of 5.5, we make an arc. And that becomes our C. So we join it to be like that. So we have our triangle. Then after constructing the triangle, what else are we supposed to do? We drop a perpendicular from C to meet AB at N. So let me now drop a perpendicular. I stand at point C. Then I make arcs on this side like that. I make an arc like that. Then standing on the arcs at this point, I make other arcs on the upper side. Standing here, I also cut the first one. So that the line dropped through there shall be perpendicular through C to AB, like that. So where they meet now, we call it N. This is perfectly right angled. You know, after this, now we are supposed to measure the length of C to N. So the length C to N is supposed to be 5, exactly 5 centimeters. But remember, in the national marking, if you make a slight error and get 5.1 or 4.9, you are considered to have done the right thing because you're within the accuracies of a centimeter ruler. Thank you so much for following. I invite you to our model of purchasing airtime. Remember to use it for any network in the country, Safaricom, Airtel, Telcom. You just go to the M-Pesa, Lipa na M-Pesa, the paybill number 737356. Then the account number is the phone number that you're purchasing the airtime for. After that, you enter the amount that you'd like to spend. The airtime shall be reflected instantly. So thank you so much for following up with our programs. See you next time.